Hello. I think I'm actually on time. Woohoo! Which is good. And would I just check and see? I'm gonna mute. Hopefully I have another computer on. I'm hoping it doesn't interfere with the sound on this. So I'm in my impromptu kitchen studio again. And I'm getting very fond of my impromptu kitchen studio, even though I have to set it up again every time I want to paint because it involves bringing in a little desk I have in the other room. The lighting here is good, and that matters because that picture that I have on the easel at the moment is a picture of a tree that's right outside my window, only a few feet away. So in January, to be able to do that is great because, the weather has been atrocious. It's actually been a bit drier today, and yesterday we had some dry bits. But it was so cold that I took a day off yesterday. I just felt too cold and I sat in front of the fire all day. So, you know, I started this on a live stream last week. And if I had painted every day, this would be my sixth session because I do live streams on Saturdays, and I'm probably going to do a live stream on this painting tomorrow because I haven't done any live streams where it's a follow-on project yet. So, that's not a bad idea to do that, I reckon, for my first painting of the year, follow it through all the way. But I also wanted to come on today because well, I'm going in for a painting session anyway, and I want to show you the bit that I'm on, all the foliage, and I want to show you my palette. So I had made a couple of little shorts videos, but it can be a different kind of audience for shorts, and the format is very, very short. So I can't kind of go into any detail about what I'm doing. And I thought, well, it'd be interesting to be able to go into detail. So some of the thing I've done since the last live stream, I've done a lot of work on the tree, but I have been updating you a little bit on the community tab. But this is from the last session. So the last session wasn't yesterday. Yesterday was my total day off, sitting hunched in front of the fire, playing chess and watching videos. But I'm back at it, refreshed. You see, everybody needs days off. Um, so today would be I think it's only my fourth session on this painting. So, we're used to these days on social media thinking that um, artworks can be done very, very fast, but they're not always. Sometimes you can do a piece fairly fast, but they're not always fast. But that's actually fairly good progress for um, 4 sessions, 3 or 4 sessions. I forget which it is now. I think it's the fourth session today, possibly. And we're going to do more down here with foliage, which is not dissimilar to the same approach as the tree, but there's a lot more color coming into this now than there was. So we'll talk about palettes and things like that, and what colors have come out in the palette. So this is another thing I've been doing on the community tab, showing you my palette for this project, which I think would be interesting for anybody interested in painting. These are oil paints now, so some of the colors that I would list might be described differently as different colors in acrylics. I have noticed that with acrylics that they name them different colors quite often. There are colors in acrylics I'd never heard of in oil paint. So initially I started with all these browns and earth tones because I was doing these kind of colors up here. And if you want to see more about the early stage of the painting, I have an upload on the main video page, and it's all me painting the early stage of this and all set to lovely classical music and everything. And you get to see outside, you get to see the original of what I'm painting as well. So I was happy with that video. It turned out nicely. A nice relaxing video to watch, I think. So I don't know how relaxing this would be to watch today, but hopefully it will be. I started out with all these browns and everything. So I had the underpainting. Everything was done in this color, which was a mix of burnt umber and burnt sienna. So quite a warm, earthy tone for everything, because it's a very autumny, wintry looking scene, and it's a reddish kind of a tree. And a lot of the background has reddish kind of branches in it as well. All this background is composed of other trees. So that's another challenge in it, to try and paint background elements, and have them still look like they're in the background, but still kind of be able to manage details and things. And haven't got it perfectly right yet, I don't think, because it's gone too busy in a not hugely attractive way in some areas over here. But it's because I think of some of the lines, too much of a thickness going on with some of the lines, and some of the directional things not quite perfect tickety boo yet. But warmer colours started coming in. This fungi kind of growth on the tree here started coming in. And actually, I'm going to modify that a bit and make it's a nice lichen, which I guess isn't a fungi really, it's a lichen. I'm going to modify that a bit more and put viridian green glaze over that. So I have a glazing medium called Liquid, and I'll use very watered down viridian, which is, where is my viridian here? I have some viridian on down here beside an emerald green, but I actually have to top up with my viridian again, because this is sap green here, which is a lot warmer. So I'll put viridian in my palette again in a minute. And I'm going to glaze over that, and it's going to make it a more intense, glowy, cool green. And that is going to play off some of the warmer greens that I have down here. And you can see I have some very warm color, a cadmium yellow out on the palette now as well. And I've been mixing this cadmium yellow with I think that's a chrome green, no, permanent green, and emerald green, sap green I told you about already. I have cerulean blue that I'm mixing in with greens as well. So this is what we're going to be doing today, doing some of the foliage and showing you how you're using a few different greens in the foliage, and how that can bring a kind of a more modulated kind of playful, in and outy depth to the foliage than just one green, which never really looks, I don't think, never really looks right on leaves, or I've never managed to get it to look right. So even up here sorry, I'm not sure if this is focused perfectly. It moves in and out of focus a little bit. Even up here, there are at least two different greens going on, and there's a yellow going on there. And you can see how the warmer green, that green has a little bit of emerald in it, and there's chrome yellow. So within the same leaf, even, there are mixes going on. And then the sort of background leaves to that are a slightly cooler, more terra verte green. Terra verte is another color that I really like. It's kind of dead green. So you can end up using quite a lot of color in this just to describe one color, Um, and it's not an easy subject to do either. There's a lot going on, isn't there? A lot of tangly stuff going on. But, you get into a little way of work and you get into a groove. You can start getting things working. Like this bit here, that's just kind of the start of one area indicated. And it's quite simple looking there. There's only a few things going on. But again, you can see three kinds of greens happening. There's a kind of a viridian green here. Then there's a bluer color going on here, and then there's a yellowy color going on here. And it gives you the impression of leaves in the foreground for the warmer leaves, and the bluer leaves are pushed back that way. And then this bluer, lighter tone gives the impression of light hitting the leaf. And we can come along again and do a thing that I call the constable trick, and go even further with that, push that a little bit more as we build up that foliage area, and dab in lighter speckles, if you like, of light hitting leaves, and that animates the thing even more. So where shall I start? Well, I might start just to be, for difference's sake, and for interest's sake. Start up here in this tree and work my way down here, I think. So this is different kind of foliage going on up here. But I'll show you my selection of brushes that I'm going to use. And I'm probably going to use, I could start out with a soft brush for this, because I'm going to indicate thin background leaves. I'm also going to need to do some delineation around some of the branches. So I have my terps out. I'm going to have my white spirits for just cleaning the brushes, just because it's cheaper than terps to clean things in. But the terps is going to be my painting medium for watering down the paint. And I'm going to, I want to get my gradient brush. That I said was running low. I'm going to lay in, and I'm checking with what's happening outside. And I was going to say I'm going to lay in that cooler color for the background leaves, but are they even a cooler color because they're in the background? They're not really. It's funny sort of lighting. And if you're painting something and you want any sort of realism, you have to know what direction the light is coming from and have some indication of that. In your own mind, just for clarity. It doesn't always show up in the painting, but sometimes you get kind of diffuse light. But for the sake of clarity for yourself in the painting and unity in the painting, you want to know that. Oh, I'm talking a lot today, aren't I? I won't be talking as much as the session goes on. I'm madly trying to concentrate. Now, I have quite a lot of things going along with that. The green I have on my brush at the moment, there's even yellow ochre in it because it's going to be warmish green. So not as warm as these sort of more foregroundy things. But I'm going to leave some of the browny background showing through. See, I'm getting quieter already, I promise you. But you know, I do want to tell you about colour because I think it is useful to people and to have an idea of a general approach or something. Like my approach for this was to get the bones of this tree filled in before I did foreground things, even though I knew a lot of the foreground stuff was going to be completely covering that. I still wanted to be able to have the thing in the background. Okay, I'm going to get two brushes going for this. And the second brush is going to be also a very thin brush because I'm painting very thin branches. And I'm going to start out with burnt sienna and burnt sienna and rum mixed. And have I gone out of focus there? Yeah. I'm going to try and get back into focus. Usually if it gets your hand in focus, it'll do. Yeah, I think I got focus slightly better. I can't lock the camera because it's sort of, my streaming software takes over I'm actually streaming from a phone and it takes over the camera on the phone. So I don't have the control you would have with the camera. So I'm going to put in the edge of those before I do too much on the leaves. But I'm going to use a trick here. Just find I usually use an old brush for this because the brush can get a bit bendy, and I'm using the brush as a maul stick. Which is just a little stick, helps you lean on it a little bit, and you're not leaning on your canvas or wet paint or anything. And it is handy. And I'm resting it against the edge. So I'm outlining these because up here there were all these little branches. And I'm taking my time doing this because I'm giving myself time to look at things well. Some of that, because it's very thin paint, is sinking when it settles a bit. It's settling slightly lighter in colour, but I don't mind because these are the actual branches are not going to be dark branches. These are just an outline for light branches I'm putting in. But they're going to give them a tiny little bit of definition. Because I was talking about the light. Sorry, interrupted myself. The light it's diffused today because it's not a sunny day, but it's kind of overhead at the moment. It's 2 o'clock-ish here, a bit past 2. So it's overhead and just starting to head towards being in front of this tree. Come about 4 o'clock, the light will be beautiful here because it'll be hitting that tree from a bit more sideways, starting to come around the front of it a little more. And the tree becomes much warmer and slightly outlined on the right hand side from me, and it's just very nice winter lighting. So when you're working with landscape, quite often you're working with various types of lighting, and once you're aware of that, that's okay. You know not to get frustrated if lighting changes, because what you're painting is partially how you feel about the thing itself. And that's kind of what that video I uploaded was about as well. And I hope we got that across. It was about how magical I feel that trees are and how terrific they are and how much I love them. I love them. I love painting them. I love looking at them, walking around them. I think they're wonderful. Um, and that's what you're painting. You're painting your enthusiasm for the subject, and your time that you spent with it contributes to your experience of that subject. So this is why I wanted to take my time over this painting and not hurry anything. So I was like, yeah, that's a nice thing to do, a live stream or do a bonus session for people, because even if people don't watch the bonus sessions and only see thumbnails, they go, oh, she's still painting that. And then the next day they come on, oh, she's still painting that. Oh, she's still painting. I didn't paint so long, or, something sinks in about the kinds of focus you have for doing these kinds of tasks. And the modern world, technological world, there's a kind of a belief that we kind of buy into to a certain extent, that everything happens very quickly, and that you're good at something that's because you're innately talented, gifted, and you either are gifted or you aren't. But actually, in real life, you find, well, it doesn't really work like that, does it? I mean, I don't know, somebody else might think it works like that. I don't really works like that. I think it's how obsessed are you doing what you're good at? And to be good at the things that you're obsessed with doing, you really like doing, you like spending time on, and you tend to get good at them, don't you? So maybe we shouldn't worry about whether we're good at something or not. We should just keep working away at it and keep working at it and enjoy it. Maybe we'll get good at it without worrying, without comparing ourselves to anybody else, and just having a good time. So this is part of what it is to be unique too, isn't it? To not be caught up in that comparing. To just say, well, this is me, this is how I do it. Nice and warm in here today though, because I have one of the stove top things on. As long as I don't put anything on which will get it on instead of facing the fire, I'm good. Okay, so I have a lot of the really thin lines down for those trees. There's more, as I go down, that'll keep happening. But I just want to do some of the branches and put the leaves in, just to vary it. I see if I was a pedantic sort of person, I'd come down, I'd do all my lines first. Then I'd come down, okay, now I'm going to fill all the branches in. Now I'm going to do the leaves, but I like varying it a little bit. And as you vary it, you can vary your brushes as well. So it's nice to have a selection of brushes. Like I'm actually using the same one, but I have a few of that thin brush there to work with. So that I don't have to clean the brush every few minutes. So for I'll just show you. I'll show you the mixing just for the branches. My beloved Venetian yellow. This is such a handy colour, and I hardly need to mix anything in with that at all. I've got a tiny bit of burnt umber in it, and maybe a little bit of white. But that's it. That's a great highlighty colour without going too white. And I may have put you out of focus again. Actually, the focus, I'm just checking on another computer, and the focus is not too bad today. Let's hope I don't have sound interference. Yeah, that worked. Yeah, so I'm all enthusiastic again after my day off yesterday. The only thing is, if I'm going to get sore back, it's going to roll in my chair. I have a gas lifter. No, that still has me thinking. too sideways. I'm going to get a sore back. I'm having to lean in slightly to do this because I was trying to get you in closer to the painting today. Tomorrow's live stream might move the camera slightly back again so that I don't. You see, normally I'd be right in front of this camera. And I don't have good enough zoom really that I can zoom in and keep even the bit of clarity I have going on the things. Oh, this is why a lot of people that you have the point. Where's my, these super duper influencers types? Some of the higher social media specialists shoot all the video and it's all very trendy, but I just bumble along. But I enjoy doing that aspect. If I get something to work, it's very frustrating. You can't get things to work. It works. I can get it to work easier in the uploads. I have to. But even this kind of showing you the painting in close like this, I couldn't manage that until fairly recently. So, there are upgrades happening. Now, you see what's happening here with the branches. I'm having to use a very thin sable. Very nicely balanced one, actually. Look at the shape of the handle on that. Isn't that lovely? That is an expensive brush, but so beautifully balanced. I love using it, and I think I've bought about 4 of these now in a size 1 and a size 2. And I always have to have a few of these little tiny brushes for doing this kind of work, because whatever way I paint, I often end up doing a very thin detailed thing because I just enjoy doing it. And the trick is for stuff that's very thin like this is you're getting your medium, which is your terps or your Sansador or whatever sort of non-smelly, because you can get non-scented, non-fuming ones as well. Whatever your medium is, you're mixing it in with the paint to get a consistency thin enough to kind of draw with. It takes a little bit of practice to get the hang of it. But the reason that I did, see that bit came out nice. The reason I did that little thin dark line was so that I could get a tiny bit of an edge on this that I could paint back up to. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you'll see when I come along with this green. Remember this green that we had? Get mine all stick out again. And we're sort of getting rid of some of the brown. And we're making it a very, very thin line. So, obviously that takes kind of control of the brush, but these things come with time. Sometimes they disappear again. I'm always getting these skills and then I'll lose them again. I go, how did I manage that before? I can't now, So basically that's how I've done it. It doesn't look much at the moment because these are the back there of leaves, not the front leaf. But that's basically how I'm going to build it up, and I'm going to work my way down. I've got a little grouping here with some birds and a little feeder in there that they're going to be all gathering around. And I am going to have a couple of jackdaws up in the tree as well. Kind of a homage to a bridal painting that I really like, but also because they like perching on that tree and they're nice to draw. Okay, so I'm going to go back to filling in. And before I go today, I might use half an hour. Before I go today, I will work down here a little bit so you can see maybe some bigger, different kinds of strokes and different colors of leaves. But I want to do a little bit more work on the branches. I'm actually too hot now. Turn that stuff. So I hope I didn't confuse people coming on an extra day because I think people are getting used to the idea that Saturday is my live stream day. I'm trying to keep it kind of the same day so that people know. Because like funny thing with painting, it's not you try and do it at the same time every day, but it doesn't always work out like that. The planets have to be aligned correctly sometimes. Circumstances have to be fortuitous. But I have some short marks here as well because sometimes the little twigs behave like that. They have little kind of spaces in between them. Just sort of stop the line. Yeah, but Saturday is my main day. So this doesn't mean I'll be streaming every day. Just because this was a project and not a short piece of work that I was doing for one live stream. I thought, yeah, we'll follow it over the course of it a bit more than we have been doing. And as an artist, you have to have the ability to be able to follow a project, your own project, don't you? Going to be all kinds of funny noises from over there now because the stove is cooling down, the top of the stove is cooling down. So yeah, you have to be able to follow your own projects, and you know, social media gives you a fake effect a lot of the time, and I want people to know that I don't whiz through paintings. It takes me a while to do a painting. Some things I can do fast. I don't know how long something's going to take me all the time. So it's not conducive to social media in that way. And unless you start producing stuff, you know, when people do this with social media in mind, saying, well, I'm only going to do projects that people like, and I'll do more projects of the sort of things that get big views. And I don't want my work to change, you see, as a result of being on social media, because I'm only on social media to show you, you know, oh, look, this is what it's like being a painter, and this is how I do it. And because I go off and I look at how other people do it, and I love looking at other people's videos and finding correct. You always learn something. All sorts of tips, but thing is making the tips your own. You know, I could show you how to do branches like this, and you might be able to do them perfectly well like this, but there might be no life in them. You know, that's you mightn't be convinced they might not feel like your branches. So you might find your own way of doing branches that makes more sense to you and expresses how you feel about branches better together. And that's what I want you to do. I call it people developing their own alphabet. I want you to develop your own painting alphabet. And yeah, it's fine to take little hints here and there from people. That's great. But it's your painting. It's about not about my painting. It's about how my painting can help you with your. And it doesn't mean that you could copy my style or anything. It means that you're going to look at something and you might see one or two things that you go, oh, hey, I could do this or that kind of thing. Or her doing this reminds me that I could approach it another way. So, like, there's no one way to do things. And most of the stuff I learned to do, I did learn it from developing my own mind. Because I kind of understand the importance of being yourself. You're an original, You are the work of art yourself. So your art is an expression of that as well. Just like this tree is its wonderful original thing, you as the person painting it are going to be coming up with your own way of doing it. And I'm just here to enthuse you. Well, I hope I maybe. I was going to put a soundtrack on the last uploaded video, and then I thought, I blather too much anyway. I'm going to take me talking out of it and just, I want to go back to dark colour and just have the nice music, and it worked out much better. But that doesn't mean I make every video like that. If I videos like so the other thing, if anybody got this far in the video, well done. The other thing, although these could be nice videos to watch with a cup of tea or something, I like that. I like watching people painting when I have a cup of tea and maybe a bar of chocolate or sitting in front of the fire. And you're going to learn something just watching it as well. Then you get enthused and you spring up and you do something yourself. See, I've interrupted myself again. I'm going to say something I thought. I'm doing branches, not all the branches on this little side tree, which is kind of a shrub that's got into a tree. Not all of them go up in that curve. Some of them go this way and come in sideways. So we're going to do some of them going across. And so this is where looking, see, doing more looking here than painting. And I'm not into a painting about the idea of a tree and getting a tree that looks like a tree and then doing 3 different ones in the same painting. Each tree is a different kind of tree, different rhythm. And yeah, maybe that's what I was going to say about the trees as individual as people. It's wonderful personality. And I could spend maybe another, just trying to give you a time frame on this painting. I could spend maybe another 3-4 hours on this section, without feeling that was too long or, or a waste of time or, because you can see how it's quite a slow technique I'm using. You know, there are lots of techniques around that are faster, but for the kind of, it's not that I'm doing it looking for a particular result. It's what this is where the mood took me for this. So the painting is going to turn out a particular way because I'm in a particular mood looking at this particular tree. And it's wonderful looking at your paintings afterwards, and even in years afterwards, if you still have a painting. I'd look at my own pictures a lot more than I would look at photos and things. Maybe that sounds a bit like a bit vain. I don't know. I know people love looking at photos. I don't really get much out of looking at photos of people so much, unless it's an arty photo that I think I can paint something from. Maybe, I don't know. But definitely looking at paintings that I've done, I can remember so well what it's like being there. Because you've spent so much time with the thing when you're painting it, you see all the emotions that you were feeling at the time come back. What you were wearing, where in your kitchen you're standing. They're like a little diary. They're very evocative. I'm doing some dark. So later in the year, I'm thinking I don't have a lot of plan here, but painting and art wise, it's not just all painting, it's drawing as well. The plan is a few field trips when the weather gets better. And with that in mind, I was on last night looking for a little kind of a camping stool that's the best, lightest, most compact fold-up one that won't break my bottom when I'm sitting. I'd love to get a shooting stick, but they don't. They just sink in boggy, wet soil. They won't. They're better for. They're actually better path or city thing, or at least dry weather thing, I think, than wet and mucky field thing. But they're more comfy and they're at a better height for drawing it in field, you see. Because if I get a little small camping stool, it's got me so near the ground that the painting is down at, like this painting I'm at, it looks like you're at the point of view of a person standing up looking at that tree, doesn't it? At least I'm actually looking down at the tree a little bit because I'm on a slight hill here. But I have a hill in my kitchen. But on a camping stool, I would be down so low you're nearly looking up at trees or looking up at things, and the horizon line moves right up when you're low, which is nice for some pictures, but not for every picture. It's kind of unusual, you know. So there's a lot of things I'd like to be kind of sitting tallish for. And some of the camping chairs are much nicer, but I don't have a car and I walk or cycle to destinations to do my field trips. So I am reliant on gear that's very light. So the last time I was buying new gear, I was thinking about, okay, what weight do I want? And I had a particular rucksack for it. And I managed to get the rucksack down to 5 kilograms of weight, which was very light, but it did not have a little stool. So I have found some very light stools, and it's just finding out which one is the least bottom breaking of the lot. I haven't ordered yet. I haven't made my final decision, but that'll be an item that'll be in. And I think, I mean, I don't want to promise because you never know what's going to happen in life. But I think what I might do is when the weather gets anyway bearable, I might do a test garden run of setting up. I have a tarpaulin, setting up a tarpaulin in the garden that gives me a bit of cover if it does start raining, because early in the year you go out on field trips and it can rain fairly suddenly on you. So in my field trips, it can take me so long to get there now. I don't want to just abandon it the minute it starts raining. And obviously, you're doing any artwork. Now you see the way there's some branches going a different direction now. And if you're doing artwork, it's very vulnerable to rain, isn't it? Paper, if you're doing something on paper. So it'd be nice to have a bit of coverage. So you see how when you start going a few different directions, you start bringing a lot of life into the thing. Well, I haven't really done the foliage yet. I've only indicated the back lot of foliage, but I'm painting from the back forward. And I'm paying attention to what branches are in front and which behind. And continuing on the same method of doing the dark first, then going to come along with the light in the branches. Then I'm going to do the dark foliage in the back. I don't know if I'll get down to foliage further in the tree. I could, but I kind of enjoy it. So that's the plan for the field trips. A tryout in the back garden, which might be fun because I've done these tryouts before. And every time I get equipment, I do try it. And on one of them, I famously nearly set fire to the back garden. That might be still up on the channel. I think it's called that Trangia, or that famous Trangia incident. And a Trangia is a little, I still have it actually, I love it. It's a little stove. It's just a little thing that runs on, what does it run on? Paraffin or something like that. And, you just light it. And it's a little tiny brass thing. It's really light. That's what I love about it. And you can go out into the field with it, you see. And when you're starting to get really cold, you can make yourself a nice cup of tea and heat yourself up. So it's wonderful for keeping your hands warm. And, if you can keep your tummy warm and have some warm drink in you, you'll stay warm. And you're able to stay out, you see, drawing for longer, painting for longer. So I tried that out in the back garden. Nearly set fire to the garden. Well, just the grass, but it was quite fun. So I don't think I can do much damage with the tarpaulin. The worst that will happen is that it will fall down. But I'll try and get it to stay up to a tarpaulin that I can have the tarpaulin and everything. And I think I have some bamboo sticks in place. So there's a way of you just stick the sticks in the ground, sort of cross them over the top, throw the tarpaulin, and you've got a little hut to paint in. And my garden is getting interesting enough now that you could sit out in the garden and paint in the garden for an afternoon once you have some little structure like that to stay dry in if it starts raining. So you're not running in and out of the house all the time. So I dare say there would be a video when it gets a little bit more springish, that there'll be a video like that. I actually have to clear out one of the corners the corner that I'll probably do that in. I have to clear that out first. I have a lot of ivy around the house, which I love, but every once in a very blue moon, it has to be cut back so it doesn't take over the whole of the house and go next door and take over next door. And it's a big job. There's a lot of I'm actually sniffling today from it now because it's very dusty, ivy for some reason, and the dust just irritates the heck out of my nose. But all that corner is now full of bits of wood and ivy that have to be burnt, all chopped up and burnt, so that I get that corner of the garden back. I'm actually doing quite a lot of work in the garden in front as well at the moment. They have plants trying to take over the garden there as well. Because I grow things that are kind of wild things, they get to a certain stage and you just can't stop them growing. They're just so happy they're in the environment they want and everything. So they're just thrilled with themselves, you know. We do a little bit of drawing. It's all right. So you then have to get slightly more aggressive with them and cut them back a little bit, you know. So we've got a lovely tangle happening down here. The tree starts coming down this way. I could actually do this in pencil if I wanted to, because I'm still on the underpainting here. And I was showing you a while back on shorts how it's quite okay to put in your initial drawing on an oil canvas, um, straight on top of the underpainting. Once you don't have this heavier layer of paint on, like I wouldn't start drawing on top of this again now. But early on you can do it. And it's handy because um, it can be a bit easier than drawing with oil paint. Which is, you know, it's a bit of a knack. And you have to keep that palette and everything, make sure you got the consistency of the paint right. So we have things going in various directions here, but this corner is very nice because that's going to be a nice bit of darkness down in the corner. Hope I've still got the focus. Every time I put my hand in front of it, I have a feeling the focus changes. But this is going to be nice because we're going to have all dark here with a few really bright shapes of blackberry bush tendrils coming into it, and that's going to extend here, and we're going to have little areas of bright coming through as well, and that's going to be kind of a surprisingly bright area, and hopefully that'll be very interesting. And then we have all those lovely soft greens. I didn't, you see, actually get half the plan done today. Half the plan was to show you all the different greens in action, and I didn't actually get quite far enough in the painting to do that. But I dare say that tomorrow on the live stream that I will be there. I'll be there. Yeah, because it's only 10 minutes, only less than 10 minutes left in the live stream today now. So I'm going to carry on with doing these branches now. And there's a lot of, you see, well, actually, I might be able to put it in a little bit. There is a lot of foliage in front of some of these branches here, but it's a good idea, I think, to put in the branches first. Then when you come along and you're putting a dappled kind of a foliage on, like this kind of thing, that kind of thing, and it's intersecting in some places, but not in others. It's more convincing. Now that's transparent, or, you know, when I put a lighter color over it again, it won't be transparent. That's when your Venetian yellow comes in with your cadmium yellow, or even an ochre, you know. So when they come across it, you see, and You got foliage going on there. You have the convincing branches underneath of what's happening. And sort of my mind is going to shock a bit because I didn't really want to move on to this bit yet, but I did want to show you. It's quite hard to paint on a live stream as well. Can be. Sometimes it goes. But sometimes you get into this frame of mind where you just want to get completely lost and not thinking about, oh, and will the audience find this bit boring? Will they understand this point that I make? Now you see I've got two colours down there, so you see some stuff happening in the foreground, but we're still able to pick up some of the action from the branches. And this, I think, makes a really convincing painting. And that was the way I approached it down here. I was able to pick up the rhythms of the shapes as they intersected. And I'll be coming in here and putting more, it actually gets a bit scrubbier over here. There's a lot more tangled branches and a lot more of that brown staying in, with interspersed just with little bits of leaves, because it's a winter painting. Nothing is like in its growing phase or anything. It's just kind of hanging in there waiting for the spring, like me. But you can kind of hopefully see, if I add a bluer bit. I feel bad, I promised you I'd do this, you see, so I'll do it. I'm going to add a few little highlight bits. They're not terribly subtly done, but that's okay. That's okay. The subtleties happen kind of afterwards sometimes, because you can be a little bit too careful in painting individual leaves and things and lose some of the interest of the thing. I don't want them all going the same direction either. So this is the kind of little spots of light I was talking about, that animate thing a little bit. And you can see they kind of do. Look at the way when you do a little spot of fairly pale colour, what happens to all the colour around it? It really bounces out of it, doesn't it? So maybe bear that in mind when you're doing foliage. What areas could you do that little weirdy effect in? You want to go easy on it, because you just look like a painting that has millions of dots on it if you go nuts on it. But it's a process of pulling out, pushing back, pulling out, pushing back all the time, painting anyway. So it can be modified, you see, and you can get into the flow of it, where you do it for a while and you get over the kind of nervous, and you're just reaching for the paint really fast, doing it in a very fluid way. You don't hit the ground running when you're doing something like that. You're not always going to be painting fantastically every second of doing it, but it can go that way, let's say. So we leave it at that today, and I hope you kind of get some ideas about the foliage end of things, about what how you can build out from the back of something, how you can get detail and branches and things, how you can put in your background foliage and build forward with the foliage. And then it's a question of kind of pushing back, pulling, and the pulling and pushing I was talking about with your foliage. And always when you're working on a bit up here, you're looking at it in relation to other bits as well. So even though this bit looks a little bit isolated from this bit at the moment, I'm sort of thinking like how it's going to move down. And I'm not going to completely finish that bit before I move down either, because it won't be as strong and unified a picture if I do that, I don't think. So I will be working my way down, and I would say I put in another little while on this today. So I'd say by tomorrow I'll have some of the greens and darks established on this before I start here tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I'd say I'll start tomorrow's live stream probably saying, hey, I'm 3/4 of the way finished this painting now. I'm thinking I'm possibly at about 3/4 mark. And I like where it's going. It's going. It's not like completely there yet, but I think it's got a lot of potential as a painting, and it's a fun painting to look at, fun painting to paint. So I like where it's going. I hope you learned something from it. And if you want to drop in, tomorrow is the usual live stream, the 2 p.m. Irish time, Greenwich Mean Time, lunchtime around here. Um, and it's an hour's long live stream, and that's the usual live stream. This today was just a bonus one. Okay, so whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, enjoy yourselves, and might run into you tomorrow. You never know. Bye.